I'm an international relations specialist and I work on international order and international institutions like international law, multilateralism, the United Nations, human rights. Those are the big questions I've been looking at, and now I'm working on issues of cultural diversity and international order. And one of the things that I find fascinating is that international politics, in a sense, is dealing with human society at its largest, at the highest level of abstraction. And by definition, that means that we're dealing with politics that is occurring in a very highly complex cultural environment. And international relations scholars haven't spent much time talking about that. It's interesting that it's something that we've neglected, but it's something that's clearly crucially important for the study of world politics. We're in a kind of once in a couple of 100 years transition going on at the moment, in that we're moving from an international system that has been dominated by the West, by European countries and then their allies and their colonies, to an international system in which, for the first time, new and emerging great powers are coming from outside the West, are coming from India, from China, and that's creating a multicultural global environment in a way that perhaps we haven't seen for a long time, and that poses new political challenges for the nature of the international system. But at the same time as that, what we're doing is we're getting a move away from a traditional system of international relations, which is basically about states, to a system of international relations where states are embedded in a much wider network of actors that include transnational actors that are, if we think about groups like ISIS and other groups, that are capable of wielding violence on a global scale, but also are mobilising cultural symbols and cultural ideas and cultural identities in relationship to their practices. And so we're seeing a big power transition, but also a power transition that's interlinked with new claims about cultural identity. At the moment, the way in which the debate is currently couched is between people that have a very essentialist view of culture. They think cultures are things that consist that are unitary, that are coherent, that are neatly bounded. So you can talk about a thing called Chinese culture and Indian culture and American culture, or you can talk about the West, for example. And we're caught between that view and then a view that says really culture doesn't matter at all. Culture, this is a kind of liberal position that says that, well, we have an international system that can absorb states and parties that have all sorts of different interests, and the institutions allow those groups to get along nicely. And in a sense, culture drops out of that story. So we're caught between those two extremes, one that says culture doesn't matter and one that treats culture in a highly simplistic fashion. And that can lead, both of those can lead to problematic public policies. So the one can lead to a kind of naive faith in the nature of the institutions that we have, and the other can lead to dramatic alarmism about, well, the rise of China will lead to China trying to remake the international system as a kind of Confucius world order. And really, both of those positions are deeply unsatisfactory. So we actually need to have more sophisticated understandings of the nature of culture, cultural diversity, and how historically those two things have been related, and then think about, in a more subtle way, about how those things are playing out today.